but also in a position where I can hopefully give back. So, I found a purpose for life.
Mm.
It was not a temporary purpose. It was not something that I said, oh, I'll do it for 5 years and then I'll move on to something else. I think this is a mission for life. And when, real impact happens when you've done something for a very long period of time, right? And so to be able to ground yourself in meaning and purpose wouldn't have happened without Vivaan at all. So I would say all the good things that happened since then has been very grounded in that understanding of what your core purpose is. And there's nobody other than Vivaan to give credit for that.
Feroze, I know where you're coming from when you're saying this, but was the diagnosis the reason why you went into researching what it is all about and
Yes.
saw how it can be used in your
Yes.
space of work? And that's where this entire project came in, where you made it sustainable. Was that
Yes.
the challenge? Was that the drive? What was it?
Yeah, so I'm talking about 2010, Rashmi, where disability was seen as a taboo. Autism was completely unknown. Autism was not even one of the disabilities in the Disability Act. There were only 7 disabilities, and autism was not even included there.
Hmm.
So obviously, not too many people knew about it, and I just dug deep into it, trying to understand the space. I watched every TED talk, I met every thought leader in the autism space because I really wanted to understand what does the life ahead look for me,
Hmm.
really. And what I didn't realize at that point was very subtly I was trying to understand Vivaan, and at that time we assumed that he will be able to speak and express himself, but he's now 12 years old, he's non-verbal. And if somebody asks me, what is the one, if you had a magic wand, what would you want that magic wand to do? And now I can tell you the only thing that I would want is to understand him better.
Hmm.
Today, I don't know what he's thinking.
Hmm.
Today, I don't know what he's going through. If he has a tantrum, for example, I really don't know. Is it because he has a stomach ache? Is it because he has pain somewhere? Is it because we just don't understand him? We have no understanding of that. So I often wonder what's going in his mind because he's nonverbal, can't express himself. He's able to do that a little bit now by pointing at alphabets and spelling out things. But if I had a magic wand, I would say, help me understand him, because for him it's incredibly frustrating that he's not able to express himself. I think that is the root cause of his tantrums and his challenges. Even after all of that, he's an incredibly happy kid.
Hmm.
He's such a joy. He's always smiling, and I think I never realized how resilient children are.
Hmm.
He has tons of medicines. He has a lot of health issues, but he's always smiling, and I have no clue. Like, I'm like, how does this kid always smile? Even with all these challenges. So we sometimes underestimate how resilient children are. But yes, all the research that I did, and I'm still doing, this is still work in progress, as I said, is just so that I can understand him better. And of course, in the process, I understand the community better. I understand what parents go through. I understand the needs of people a lot better. But he's in many ways the path to opening this massive world, which is, as I said, I'm still exploring.
And when the diagnosis is done, children
Yeah,
are usually put in a particular spectrum. They say
yeah,
from this end of the spectrum to that end.
yeah,
So there won't be a uniform way each one
yeah,
reacts, right? So how
yeah,
did
yeah.
you pick up how you communicate with him? How did you
So
set up?
yeah, I think we were lucky that he was diagnosed very early. So he was 18 months when he was diagnosed, and at that time we really didn't know how it would span out, right? They normally say he's high functional, low functional. They kind of categorize that way, and we had no way, and we assumed that he will be able to communicate and speak. But the reality is, for all practical purposes, is fully dependent on us. So, for example, basic things like brushing his teeth and cleaning him and giving him a bath, and even feeding him, he can't do on his own. So everything, every activity is something that we have to support him. Of course, our hope is that he eventually becomes independent, at least for his basic living. So we've kind of learned as we go how to deal with it, but it's a very it's small step. You just hope that the next day is better than the previous day, right? You just hope that 5 years from now he's in a much better situation than what he is today. But what I've realized is you can't rush it in. You have really no control. If you ask me what's the one thing that I have learned the most, is humility, right? It really humbles you. I, as I said, sometimes a position and power gives you a false sense of control, right? You
Yes.
believe that when you're heading a large organization, you can control the outcome, you can decide who does what. And when I was researching about the word humility itself, I realized that you become humble when you realize that you are never in control.
Mm,
Arrogance happens when you believe you are in control.
mm,
And I realized there is really nothing much I can control, except my response to his condition. That's the only thing you can control. The outcomes are not in your hands. So I think that has been the greatest learning. It's humbled me incredibly. I think there was a Feroze before Vivaan, and there is a Feroze after Vivaan. I think it's clearly made me hopefully a much better person.